Welcome to Hockey Night in New York, where Islanders hockey always reigns supreme. Whether you were raised at the barn in Uniondale or born in the stable at Belmont, Hockey Night in New York is your home for all things Isles. Now, let's drop the puck and get this party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Hockey Night in New York. Welcome to the program, everyone. It is Sunday, July 20th, 2025. Coming at you live, that's right, live from Florida Media in Rockville Center. Been a long time, Stefen Rosner, but we are back to talk New York Islanders, all the happenings that went on for the Isles. Thomas Hickey will be joining us. Big show coming up for you tonight. My name is Sean Cuthbert. With me, as always, is Mr. Stefen Rosner. Stefen, how do you do?
I'm doing fantastic, Sean. I got engaged.
Is that right?
Yes.
I was going to ask you if anything important happened this summer.
Almost 8 years. It was awesome. We did it at Del Vino in Northport. Perfect day. It was awesome.
Took the plunge, huh?
Took the plunge.
How you feel?
Oh, incredible. It's
incredible.
It's the best feeling ever.
Great.
Yes.
All right. Well, happy to be back. Plenty to talk about. Great to be back. But before we start talking about that stuff, I want to remind you about our wonderful sponsors, starting with Main Street Board Game Cafe. Find your crowd and unplug a game at 307 Main Street in Huntington Village. We're also proud to be sponsored by Center Station Bar and Grill. Catch every Isles game with great food and drinks at 279A Sunrise Highway in Rockville Center all season long. Also proud to be sponsored by Razor and Kniff, attorneys at law ready to fight for you. Check them out at razorandkniff.com. That's RAISERANDKENNIFF.com for a free consultation. And last but not least, we are proud to be sponsored by Tovi Hockey, the innovative hockey technology company and creators of the Diamond Air Blade. Get 10% off at tovihockey.com with promo code HNINY10. And if you are hanging out with us live here in the chat over on YouTube or at Twitch, and you want to get your questions in for Questions Brewing, just type in Questions Brewing, followed by your question, and we will field that question later on in the program. So, with the pleasantries out of the way, it is time for Experience Points, presented by Main Street Board Game Cafe, where we make our points about the summer of Matthew Darch. That's right. Stefen Rosner, big day in Islander country, May 23rd, 2025. Matthew Darch is hired as the new general manager of the New York Islanders. You have the presser. He's introduced by John Collins, and he had plenty of things to say. New plans, wants to remain competitive, but also build for the future, strengthen the connection with the fan base, also build up Bridgeport. What do you think of the hire, and what do you think of the summer so far?
Obviously, actions are going to speak louder than words. They have so far, but I think the biggest thing the Islanders needed out of the Lou, moving on from Lou, was transparency with the fan base. I think when your team is winning, you're willing to understand the secretiveness that Lou does and all that stuff because you're winning on the ice.
Sure.
But when that falters, fans get tired and they want accountability. They want interaction with the players. They want what every other NHL team is doing. It's not like what Darch is doing right now is some crazy thing. But opening up practices, development camp, talking to the fans, the letter to the fans, the draft party. I think, you talk about experience points. Darch is doing everything to make the experience better for the fans. And again, when a team is not a Stanley Cup contender, you desperately need that. And so far, I think the fans have loved everything Darch has done.
Yeah, I think it's been, it's never going to be universal, but you have what seems to be a very good response from the fan base so far, and I think it's absolutely warranted. We're obviously going to get into what he's done so far, but I think it was a nice breath of fresh air for the fan base, for the team. I always defended Lou. I was a Lou guy, but at the same time, I understand where fans were coming from, and I never minded the working from the shadows and all that stuff as long as they won. I didn't care, right? They stopped winning.
Right.
And like you said, that's when the outcry kind of became a little louder, and people were starting to get a little impatient. And as EJ Raddick said many moons ago, the last time we were on the show, he thought it was time, and maybe it was. And so far, it looks like we really are entering a new era here with Matthew Darch, not only with the things he's doing for the roster and for the franchise up and down, but also, again, how he's handling the fan base, how he's certainly being a little more out there, a little out front, and allowing fans to just have a little more, I suppose, not inside access, but at least like a closer tie to the organization, what they're doing, and feeling as if there's a little more transparency, like you said.
Right, and the transparency, too, is just, he's not going to tell us everything, which is fine. Media members, we're loving the Darch era because it's been fantastic for us, but for fans,
a lot of content.
Like, it's clear as day, even through just actions. He's building a team that's going to be physical. They're going to be hard to play against. All the different ways for the draft through free agency, who he brought back, who he gave away. All those things indicate exactly what Darch's plan is. So fans aren't guessing, what's our identity going to be this year? I think it's clear as day what Darch is trying to build identity-wise. With under the last couple of years, you never really know what this identity of this team was. It was just they're playing hockey. We'll see which identity shows up tonight.
Yeah.
Now it seems a little more clear-cut. Hey, maybe we're not going to be a Stanley Cup contender, but we're going to play this way. Our minor league team's going to play this way. The players we drafted are playing this way. That way they fit the culture. It's a culture shock the same way Lou is a culture shock, but it's more, I guess, in tune with today's NHL.
Yeah, I think one thing he's done, at least for me, and we'll see what the audience has to say in the chat, but it does seem like there is this feeling of change. It does feel different. Forget about the fact that there's a new face and a new name, but you are seeing the start of a direction here. And even when we get into the contracts that he signed, right, they're very particular, certain amount of years, right, certain guys that he's bringing in. And it seems like there is a game plan, and he is trying to transition this team into something new, right? He keeps Patrick Waugh on board. We'll talk about that too. But it looks like he already is framing this vision. And he's also trying to keep his options open, I think, with these shorter deals that he made, the 1-2 year deals with a lot of guys. You have the cap going up. You have guys that are going to be coming off soon. And I think he's really setting himself up where he can build this team in his image. And we're already seeing that with the guys he's drafted, a certain way of playing, ultra competitive, ultra skilled, fast, and guys who are willing to play the body.
And I think it's clear as day you mentioned the contracts. He understands the cap. And I think, you can knock Lou for a lot of things. I think some of it was, maybe you shouldn't knock Lou for that. But one thing Lou really struggled with, and COVID played a part, was managing the salary cap. And Darch, not saying that he's a better GM, we have to see, but Darch clearly has more of a grasp on today's salary cap and what you have to do to make sure your team is good in the short term, but also, like you said, you're not cap strapping yourself. You're keeping opportunities open for young players. Darch knows his prospect pool is actually a prospect pool to be proud of right now, and knows that, there's no point in signing guys to 4 or 5, 6 year deals. If I have a younger prospect who gets league minimum or ELC, that's ready to step in. So I think everything Darch has done so far with the cap space he did have, with the assets he did have, I think it's been a home run offseason. Given what he had to do, there weren't many options available to go get that elite guy you need in the cap space. But I think Darch filled a lot of holes, and we'll dive into it. But so far, so good for Matthew Darch.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get more in depth on this stuff. I mean, he's had a very busy summer already. We're going to get into it with Thomas Hickey. Whatever we don't get to with him, we'll cover afterwards. But just to rattle off some of these moves here that everybody already knows about. But obviously dealing Dobson to Montreal for the 2 picks. We know who they drafted there. We'll dive into that. Schaefer going number 1. The free agents bringing in Jonathan Drouin. Shabanov from Russia. That'll be interesting. Rittich to come in, maybe as an insurance policy for Varlamov. We'll talk about that a little bit too. You have the contracts for Holmstrom, Heineman, Gatcomb, Romanov getting extended for 8 years at 6.25. The guy has been busy putting pen to paper. Tony DeAngelo comes back for a year at 1.75. Looks like he might be a temporary replacement for Noah Dobson in a way, to kind of spell that. We'll see if Matthew Schaefer's ready to jump in. We'll talk about that too. And then you have a bunch of signings for Bridgeport, a new coaching staff there.
Coaching staff in the NHL outside of Waugh and
right,
Benoit.
yes, and Waugh had some input in that. We'll talk about that. And just an overall top to bottom, changing of the guard here. And it's going to be, we'll see how they perform on the ice. We'll see how all that stuff goes when it's time to drop the puck. But I think it's kind of, merited that there's some optimism now around the country. And even if there aren't expectations to, whether it's contend for a playoff spot or for a Stanley Cup, I think there's just still optimism back within the fan base because it's fresh, because it's new, and there's an opportunity for things to get back to that competitive level.
And I think, too, before we get to Hickey here, is having an opening developing camp to the fans made it that much more exciting. You had the blue and white scrimmage, but to see Schaefer immediately.
Packed.
Guys like Cole Eiserman, Danny Nelson, those guys were drafted 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that they never were able to come to camp because college players couldn't. Even if the Islanders aren't getting the ice, and of course, it comes to March and April, if they're slugging and they're not getting in or whatever, then fans are going to be a little demoralized. But the excitement about the future for the first time.
Yes.
Forget the current roster. Absolutely. Even though those prospects were here, Nelson, Eiserman, they were already here.
Right.
But I think the excitement of now is seeing them and being like, oh, wow. And then adding what the first round picks they got this year, fans can't wait. They'd rather fast forward 2 years down the road.
Right.
And I think that's a really cool thing because for a lot of young fans, if you're 7, 8, 9 years old, you're really getting into the team now. You have a whole new generation of Islanders that are a year or 2, 3 years away from being everyday guys in this lineup, and they're young and they're fun and they're exciting and they're talented. And for a long time, the Islanders haven't had that.
No.
Maybe 1 or 2 players every 3 or 4 years, but they come up in their bottom 6 guys. They have legitimate guys that are top D pair, top 6 forwards that, I mean, I saw it. The fan base was going nuts at the development camp, at the scrimmage, and I think there's so much more excitement than I've ever seen since covering this team.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the Islanders had a prospect pool to be a little proud of. So not only did they replenish that, but they do it with guys that kind of fill up the top half of it almost
Right.
with the guys they brought in the draft, and we'll talk about them. But just everything you've seen from Darch so far this summer, without going into details on them yet, but give me some experience points for Darch. What do you got?
Oh, boy. I'm giving him 10,000. We'll go a high number. I think it's that high in the optimism. Again, we'll dive into it, but given the cap space he did have, I think he filled necessary holes that needed to be filled. He kept players that he believed that could help this team, given the culture and the style they want to play. He moved on players that aren't going to fit that. And overall, if they're healthy, they're going to compete. That's the biggest thing, is Darch was honest. We're going to compete. We just got to get in. I know everyone hates that analogy. Lou does it all the time. Just get in. But with the prospect pool coming, you have to fight that, but you're not going to overdo it where you're hurting your future by trying to help your present team, which we already know is not good enough to win a cup. So I think just the way Darch has gone about everything, first experience for him too, being a GM.
Exactly.
Like, that's huge.
Yeah, I think he's off and running. I was very impressed with the press conference when they introduced him. I've been impressed with everything he's done so far. And personally, I'm just very excited for where this whole ship is going. Hopefully that remains. Hopefully the anticipation, the optimism, the excitement, sticks around. But with everything fresh now, I think he's off to a great start. So I'm going to go with 22,462 experience points from Matthew Darch.
Great number.
Excellent. So that will do it.
Favorite number.
4 experience points presented by Main Street Board Game Cafe. Unplug your game and raise your experience at 307 Main Street in Huntington Village on Long Island's North Shore. Games for sale and for open play, food and drink, beer and wine, fun and friends. Bring the magic of phones down, eyes up, tabletop board games to your family. Our staff will help you find the right game, from the old favorites to the hottest new releases. We have everything from strategic to easy party games. Get off your screens for a night your family will remember. Looking for meetups to join? Our Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, Arcana, and organized play communities are welcoming for all. We also do parties and corporate events located at 307 Main Street in Huntington Village. Go to mainstboardgamecafe.com for more information. Main Street Board Game Cafe. Find your crowd. Unplug a game. We'll be right back.
Islanders fans, Sunday night is hockey night in New York. Whether you were raised at the barn in Uniondale or born in the stable at Belmont, tune in to Hockey Night in New York. Catch us live from Floored Media in Rockville Center, Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, as we cover all things Islanders at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY. All episodes are also available on YouTube and all your favorite podcast providers. And for all you social butterflies, you can follow at HockeyNightNY on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for all the latest updates. Hockey Night in New York. The best night of the week for any Islanders fan.
Attention all artists, storytellers, and creators of all kinds. It's time to make your content stand out above the rest. And Floored Media is the place to make your visions become a reality. Maybe you want to elevate your podcast and add some video, or turn that novel you wrote into an audiobook. Or maybe you just need the right space to produce your daily vlog. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, Floored Media has the professional facilities, exceptional staff, and intimate atmosphere to breathe life into your creative passions at every step of the process.
Hope you enjoyed the ads. Now let's get back to Hockey Night in New York.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us right now on the line, former New York Islander and current MSG Network analyst for the New York Islanders, Mr. Thomas Hickey. Thomas, great to have you back on the show. How's the summer going?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. I gotta figure out what these experience points are. I got the end of that last segment. I need to know more about that. But no, summer's been good. I'm sure like everybody, it's flying by, and sort of the quiet days of hockey as well, with not much going on at this time of the year. Now that free agency and the draft and all that's done. So it's been relaxing and refreshing, but already looking forward to next season.
Absolutely. So great to hear you're having a good summer. Now, we were just talking about Matthew Darch coming in, obviously the biggest news of the summer here with this new era dawning for the New York Islanders. With all the work he's put into it so far, I mean, what do you make of him coming in and the job he's done to this point?
Yeah, I'm really impressed so far. I think that's probably a pretty popular sentiment, that he's done a great job. And then you zoom back and you look at the roster and it's like, okay, are they definitely better than they were last year? You can't really say that, but I think what you like about Darche and what he's done is you've got to see what type of GM he's going to be. With Noah Dobson, it's not like he didn't like Noah Dobson as a player. The price just didn't work, and he's a guy that's going to have boundaries in place so that he keeps himself in check and responsible. So to me, that was a really big indicator, and then to see the return that he gets. And the other thing is the futures, getting 3 first-round picks. I mean, obviously lucky getting the first pick, but he cares about the future. And I think the future's got to be just as important as the present. And I don't think that's always been the case. And it certainly seems so with Darche. But even outside of that, the Drouin free agency ad, only a couple years, like you can see where his mind is at, making sure that he's not boxing anyone out and spending responsibly. I like Heineman a lot. Like I think he's got a certain type, and you can see the way he drafted. It doesn't mean he just goes after big guys or small skilled guys. There's a type of player he likes. So I've been very impressed so far, and we'll see what comes when the puck drops in October. But certainly impressed with what he's done.
Hey, Thomas, thanks for joining us. Really do appreciate it. You mentioned the first-round picks they got, obviously getting Matthew Schaefer. Luck of the draw there. But have you been able to talk to Schaefer? Because very mature individual, but also one heck of a hockey player.
Yeah, I haven't, but honestly, it feels like I have. I think all the Islanders fans would probably say that, because the amount of media that he did leading up to the draft, and once he was selected, and every soundbite that comes out, you feel like the kid. Can't really think of someone that is someone you'd want to pull for more than him. He just seems like the nicest kid. Got a level head for how talented and special he is. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I've got no idea, because this is a kid that obviously dominated junior, but such a unique storyline just with him missing so many games. So curious to see what he looks like in training camp, whether he looks like a stud already or whether you can tell he's great but just needs more time. That part of it doesn't really matter. I want to see him, in Islanders colors and playing against NHL players.
So obviously we have new rules now where players go to NCAA route. They go back to juniors. You said you don't know exactly the way Schaefer would go. What do you think is the best route for him?
I think it's undetermined. What my thoughts are, and I sort of flipped back and forth on this. Right away before they drafted him, I was thinking, you have to send him back to juniors. You just do, because he needs that developmental time just to play more and have more reps. And I think instinct is really important. And when you dominate, that instinct just becomes second nature, and then you take that on with you. But the more I thought about it, I think the thing when we go back to Darche once again, whatever happens, I think is going to be the right decision, because I don't think if he's not fully ready that they're going to keep him, or even if there's a risk that they don't think he's fully ready, I don't think they'd keep him the entire season. So I'm not worried. I think they're just going to see him at camp and figure it out as they go, but sort of let him tell you what the plan is rather than to have a plan in place. I said I haven't seen him play, but one of the scouts I talked to said, he should probably go back to junior, but he's one of these guys that he might just get in the door and come into training camp and all of a sudden be one of the best guys and just make it impossible to say no. He's sort of got that attitude, and that's what he's done at every level. So I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think a right or wrong will be decided by how he shows up.
For sure, Thomas. And speaking of the draft, you helped co-host the draft party there at UBS Arena. Fantastic job, by the way. How was that experience for you? And how about the turnout of the fans showing up?
It was great. I mean, the event itself, really well run, organized by the Islanders. It was fun, and the excitement in the building. That was something I didn't anticipate being that much atmosphere around, but it wasn't just like it was the first pick. Obviously, there was drama in the picks after that with everyone,
right.
Thinking the Hagens thing might happen. And everyone was so excited for that. So I thought it was a great night. And hosting's, Shannon's so good at it. I get to watch her do it all the time, but sort of a different muscle to flex. But, I think it was fun too. And I hope the fans enjoyed, getting to have some of the players come up, the current guys, and come on stage and talk. And, the season ticket holders get that with the Q&A. They have the last couple of years, and it's fun. But I think, maybe with Darche, once again, you're going to have more access to maybe getting to see the personality of the guys. So I always enjoyed that. I think people do as well. So it was a special night in Islanders history, I think, when we look back. Time will tell. But, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You mentioned Darch and the fan interactions. When you were a prospect coming in, how important was it just for your mental psyche to get accustomed to the fan base, get in front of the fan base as quick as possible? Because all those young guys at the blue and white scrimmage, they talked about how incredible that was just for them.
Yeah, it drives you to, you feel like you're part of it, right? At the prospect camp. And I remember when I was drafted in LA, it was sort of the same thing. It was like a rookie summer camp, and to see how intense they were over players that weren't actually on the team, but players that could potentially be there. And then you start thinking, as this prospect, I'm going to be, if I can make the team, I'm going to have that affection from these people all the time. So no surprise, but yeah, the fans, they don't need to do anything over and above what they do. They're just passionate. And I think that shows through. And that's why you saw those reactions with Schaefer. It seems like he's, really embraced being accepted as someone people were cheering for. So I'm sure a bunch of them all felt the same way.
Yeah, Thomas, it certainly seems like there's a lot of excitement in the fan base around what's happening here, which is great to see. I wanted to pivot over to the Islanders coaching staff. Patrick Waugh's remaining with the squad, but we have some new assistants coming in. It sounds like Waugh and Darch were in sync here with these hires. They bring in Bugner, they bring in Bennett. Obviously, it's been well documented how much the special teams have struggled for this team. What do you think those guys are going to bring to the squad?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think just having new people in is obviously really important. Last year, we've talked about it a lot, right? Special teams were just unacceptably bad, and if they're just acceptable, you could be looking at absolutely a playoff hockey team. So I think it's more the fact that Patrick probably had a little more say in these decisions compared to before when he came into a situation where there was already coaches. So with Darche, once again, I'll come back to it, but if you're going to, I think it would have been easy to fire Patrick and just say, I didn't like what I saw last year and start again. But I think he looks at everything fresh and thought, why not give this guy some more of the tools, because we're able to right now and it's the summertime, and see what he's capable of, because he's been, he's proven in the past to be a great coach. And, we're just wondering if he's got even more insulation inside of him and helping connect that message, and the roster looks a little bit differently. Can he get back to being that great coach? Who knows? But I'm excited to see. So in Bennett, I don't know too much about him, honestly. Western Canadian guy, I do know that. And in Bugner, I had a buddy I was talking to this summer, and his name came up, and this is a guy that had played for him and thought he was, one of the better defensive coaches that he'd had for a defenseman. And Bugner being able to work with those guys, it will be really good, because we know he coached in the NHL. He's had these head coaching jobs, but he was also a really good defenseman and really tough to play against. And I think there's, definitely some guys on the Islanders blue line that maybe don't play a Bob Bugner game, but probably learn a lot from what he has to teach, just with, how imposing he was and how he used his size.
And Thomas, we'd have debates on this show all the time about the power play. Is it the players? Is it the coaches? Obviously, they make a coaching change, and they have some new players coming in as well. But what did you see at least last year with the power play, and maybe adding Drouin and adding Shabanov? We'll see. But what needs to happen on the power play this year that really hasn't been happening outside of just putting pucks in the back of the net?
Well, that question needs to be answered. What is it? Is it a coaching thing or a player thing? And we're going to find out this year, plain and simple. I would say the easiest thing for me to say, it was both last year. It was the design and the concepts drawn up, really putting everyone in their most powerful position. Probably not, but did the guys execute well? No, absolutely not. At times they did, and it looked okay, but in the end, just absolutely not at all. So I think this season tells, if you've got a training camp to work on it, I don't care if that's all it takes. Like, you're going to be able to show 20 games in, is this a coaching thing, or are these guys actually the problem? You can ask the same thing about the penalty kill, but I think you owe it to the guys to get new, fresh ideas, have a new power play coach, and execute better. And if that was the case, then you can look back and say, look, it wasn't us. We just didn't have the systems we wanted to run. But I don't think they're in the position to be able to say that now. They've got to go out and prove it.
And Thomas, you were talking about the defense as far as Bugner coming in, and that, kind of lit up this contract that the Islanders just gave to Alexander Romanov, right? They extended for 8 years, $6.25. I wanted to just get your opinion on that extension and what that might mean for the Islanders' commitment to him. Is he ready to be that true top pairing defenseman for this team? Is he still got some growth to have here? And especially now, maybe they have to rely on him even more with a big name like Noah Dobson obviously getting shipped up to Montreal.
Yeah, that's the one area on the back end you wonder how it's all going to play out. Like, there's so much competition up front, but on the back, that's not really the case. With Romanov, no, I don't look at it and say, is he ready to be a number one defenseman? Because that contract to me is not number one defenseman money. It's an 8-year contract. And to your point, is he ready to be the top left-handed defenseman on the team? Yeah, I think he can absolutely, if he hasn't already established himself as that guy, be that guy. But the money looks big up front, right? When you see it, it's like, okay, that's a little bit high. And then you think about the progression that he's taken. And, I'll be honest, I didn't think there was much to him his first year as an Islander. I thought, obviously I love the way he competes. I love his physicality. There's so many things I do love about him, but I thought, with the puck, he doesn't make enough plays and doesn't really see the ice that well, that he might just plateau and be this guy that you see why Montreal traded him. But in the 2 years since, he's been outstanding. And in each year, he's made massive jumps. And I don't really care about the points that he puts up. He's probably going to be between a 20 and a 35-point guy for the duration of this contract. The points don't matter, but the way he moves the puck really does. And I thought it became one of his best assets, coming up the ice and just maybe looking one guy off, then freeing up another option. He's got that ability, and he can turn that into doing it every shift, every single game, if he keeps progressing. So for me, it's sort of second pair money in the long run for a guy that has shown he's only getting better and better, and you get a chance that he's really outdoing this contract. If not, you're just paying him, what he would get on the open market, like open rate. So I like it for him, and for Romanov, I just want to continue to see his game keep on going, and it looks like a guy that just loves being here. So I think it's one that should be celebrated, and I wouldn't look at his AAV until like 3 years into the deal and then ask yourself, does this make sense? And I think the answer will be, it's probably right on the button.
And sticking with the defense here, everyone talks about playing fast, and it's today's NHL, every team plays fast, but Walkley likes the Boquist, the D'Angelos, guys like that. But how important is it to have guys like Pelech, Pulock, and Mayfield who are more stay-at-home guys, especially when you have a Schaefer maybe coming in, or an Isaiah George? We have that responsible defensive-minded defenseman in today's NHL.
Yeah, I think it's important. And, I think for those guys, like, I'm close with them and friends with them and think highly of them as defensemen. But if you're going to be a defensive defenseman, it's a really difficult thing. So you better be really good at that. And if you're not making a ton of plays, that's okay, but you can't turn the puck over and you can't make big mistakes if you want to be a good defensive defenseman. And I think with all of those guys, I mean, Ryan plays probably the cleanest game, but for other guys, it's great defenders. But if you're not defending great in the moment, make sure you're just clean with the puck as well. And I think that's sort of the challenge for those guys. And when they play that way, like when Adam Pelech is taking care of the puck and, making great decisions when it's on his stick, he can actually make a lot of plays. And his defensive game's on, like, he's incredible to watch. We're looking for him to get back to that more and more. And I think you could say the same for Scotty as well. A guy that he's absolutely a defender before he is a puck mover, but making sure he's clean with it and being tough to play against. I mean, that's why that's why he was signed to this contract. When Scotty's good, he's bringing a solid game. But I think these guys, to be that valuable rock back there that maybe lets one of these other guys get up in the rush more. I think all those guys, as they get older and wiser, you're going to want to make sure that that's part of their game. And if you get that, then you got a strong looking back end.
And Thomas, to circle back to Darch for a second here, pretty like the first week into his tenure as general manager after he took over was he quote unquote honored the contracts of Kyle Palmieri and Adam Boquist. Apparently they were kind of Lou deals that were already agreed to, and there was a lot coming out saying it makes a big difference to players and agents. It looks good in the locker room that Darch went ahead and honored these deals that Lou apparently worked out with these guys. I just wanted to get your opinion on that. Do you feel the same way? Do you think that Darch, whether or not he had intentions on bringing them in or not, he probably did anyway, right? But does that go a long way for you as a former player to say, hey, he did the right thing here, honoring those deals and signing them to what Lou kind of worked out with them?
No, I don't, honestly. Sorry, not to like,
no.
It's a good question, Sean. I know where you're heading. And I just think, it's like, it's the boss hires the people, right? And I think what Darche did, I don't know, right? But I don't think that he said, what were the deals? Okay, I'm going to honor that because we're trying to have a good reputation with players and agents. And I think he probably looked at the deals and said, this looks good to me. And I like the player. I love Kyle Palmieri. He's seen the best of Kyle Palmieri and probably went, he's a really good player. Would I like to have him back? Absolutely. What's the terms? 2x4-5? Actually, that works for me. And I think that's why he did. And I think the same with Boquist. Probably talked to Patrick Waugh and said, look, I really like this kid. And I think maybe if we have him for a full year, he can turn it into more than a 6-7 guy and being in a lineup, he could be good. And it's probably going to be cheap. And Darche said, well, this is the deal that was on the table. That looks good. I'll keep him around. I don't, maybe it'd be different if you're actually in the position to take the job and make those decisions. But I think everything Darche has done is just sort of been with a plan of what's going to get the team and organization looking like how he wants it. And then he's made plans based off of that. So I don't think it's, and maybe there's players that would be rubbed the wrong way if you said, I'm not honoring those deals. So it's a good question, Sean. But for me, I'd be like, whatever I think is best. If a deal's not done, it's not a deal.
Love the honesty, Hickey.
Yeah.
To move on to Matthew Barzal. You talked about a plan and why has a plan that he wants Barzal back at center. How much better do you think Barzal is when he's taking the puck up the ice? And also, what is the ceiling for this team if Barzal is able to stay healthy?
Yeah, well, I'll answer the Barzy one first. Honestly, I like him as a winger more. I think he likes playing center. I think he's a better player at wing. I really do. Do I have a problem moving to the middle like Patrick's doing? No, and I understand why, right? Because now you can have two guys Barzy's dynamic and Bo's just a really solid, 1B NHL center. He's fantastic. But I think Barzy and Bo on the same line and Barzy on Bo's wing, like Matt Barzal, when he was a center, 2 seasons ago, he was not a great defensive hockey player. And then when he went to the wing, it was the wing 2 seasons ago, that's when he became a really good defensive hockey player. So I'm just wondering if that's going to translate, if he's going back to center full time, if we're going to see all those great plays that I saw of him stripping pucks and just being a smart forechecker, and having a lot more detail in his own zone, then it's great. Then, I've got no doubt. But it's sort of, we got into it, right? Seeing Matt Barzal, first year, second year, and go, wonder how good he can be at center, and then went to the wing. So now you're jumping back into that center arch and you're just trying to figure out how good he can be. But I don't know. I wonder if that's a situation where he plays a bit of wing and a bit of center this year.
And Thomas, speaking of roster construction, you look at training camp coming up here, and all these names that Darch has now brought in. I feel like for the first time in a while, we're going to see a decent amount of competition here in camp, particularly with the forward group, the middle to lower part of the forward group. You have Shabanov coming in from the KHL. We're waiting to see what he can do. Siplikov's still waiting on his new contract. We're sure he's probably going to get it. He'll be there. Duclair coming back. You have Drouin coming in. You have the kid Heineman that they brought in from Montreal. You still have Gatcomb there. You still have McLean within the system. It looks like there's going to be a decent amount of players here that are going to be battling for spots. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. That speaks to the depth. I think as a fan, you want that to be like, I don't know who's going to make the team. Because really, when you look at it, like I think there's 15 forwards that are all NHL forwards, and that doesn't include, if Callum Ritchie is a great
Engvall, didn't mention him,
and they decide that he's going to be a player, that all of a sudden, someone that's a really good NHL player is going to be in the minors or elsewhere, because there's already too many guys. Shabanov's the big wild card. Like he looks like he's an electric player with the puck, but who knows how he's going to translate. But you sort of look at this team and sort of go, you could have 5 different lines that would all be like considered, somewhere in your middle 6. They could be a second line or a third line. You've got so much depth right now. So I'm interested to see how it shakes out, and it's going to be unfortunate for someone in training camp, but you've got all these bodies and a lot of good players. So we'll see how that shakes out, but I'm excited, especially the new guys, to see and learn their game. Like I love Heineman. I saw him, I think 5 times last year, and a lot of I was doing like Habs games at ice level, and for the first 4 games I saw them, his line was the best line on the ice. Sometimes he was third line, sometimes he was fourth. And I thought he was like, each game I kept coming away saying, Heineman's, he's been one of their best players tonight. And the timing of what he did, like, it was really good. Don't get me wrong, he was playing like 13 minutes a night, but he was just really effective. And I think my understanding is his game sort of dropped off after that freak injury, the car accident. But I think he's a really good player. So I'm excited to see how he looks, because I think he's a guy that Islanders fans are going to love, but I don't know how good he can be either. Like, I think he was a 2nd round pick, and he's got some skill. So I don't think he's really showed that side of his game completely yet. So just intrigued, and it would be a mess trying to come up with line combinations right now. Like, I don't think, Stefen, I'm sure you've drawn it up and done it many times, what the lines will look like. There's too many variables. I think everyone could do it. And it's like, the amount of infinite combinations you could come up, like, I don't think anyone's going to guess what opening night is.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, to take Sean's word, problem to have. And I'm glad that you mentioned Heineman as well, because, I think Darch made it clear that he kind of demanded Heineman to come back in the deal for Dobson. So glad that you mentioned him. One other forward I wanted to talk about was Simon Holmstrom. Continues to take strides, comes up as a defensive guy, showcases the offense, breakout year this past year. Do you think that he is ready to be a true top sixer in the NHL?
Yes, I think he is, for sure. I think I would love to see Simon make Team Sweden at the Olympics. Like, I think he's that good. So do I think he's ready to be a top 6? For sure. For me, I'm just like, I don't know if he's ever going to be a first liner and be like a 70-point player. He could potentially be, but like, I'd be totally fine if he was just kept getting better at doing the things that he does and be a 50-point guy and just super effective, like play him on your second line, third line if you need to. I just think he's so good. So I think the deal for him, I mean, you hope it's not scary after that, what the number's going to be, but he fully deserves it. Like, I thought there were so many games last year that he was one of the best Islanders, and he's now consistent. Whereas when he was younger, and, we've all watched him grow up as an Islander, and like times when it was like, it looked really difficult for him, or you wouldn't notice him out there. He's consistently a good player every night, and he's such a good checker, like forechecker. And I know he's not physical, but like, he's got that long stick and he uses it so well, and he's got great instincts all over the ice. So he's just going to get better and better. But he's, to your point, Stefen, like, he's a guy that I'm super excited to see how good can he actually be.
Yeah, absolutely, Thomas. It'd be great to see a big year out of Simon Holmstrom. One forward that is not returning to the New York Islanders lineup this year is Mr. Matt Martin. He has been assigned to or hired as the special assistant to the general manager by Matthew Darch, which I think is a great move for the Islanders organization. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about obviously playing with him, the type of guy he was, the type of player he was, and what do you think about this new position for him within the Islanders organization?
I'm happy for him. I think he's like Marty's a sponge. He has conversations with everybody. He's really interested in everything, and he's obviously really interested in hockey. But even talking to him in the past couple of years, got the inclination like that's something he could be interested in. So this is perfectly suited for that. And I don't know exactly the role. I'm gonna see Marty this week and figure it out. But I think what Darche said was, we're just going to have him in on everything, and he can absorb all that stuff. And I don't know if anyone really reflects New York Islander as much as Matt Martin does. So the fact that he's now working for the team, I just think it's great for the team. It's great for him personally. And I'm excited to see what the details of special assistant are. Is he going on coffee runs, or is he learning everything and getting ideas bounced off? And I'm sure it's the latter of those two.
I think the coffee runs will be important as well. But I got two more for you, a little more jokingly. But did you know Cal Clutterbuck could act like that with the season preview?
That was good. I'm not surprised. He can keep a straight face. That's probably maybe one of his biggest strengths. We always talk about him, and he can chirp, and he likes to give it to people, and you all saw that on the ice. But he can stop himself from cracking a smile pretty well too, and he's a smart guy. So not surprised he picked up on it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I was every scene, especially the camera angles like The Office. I was just laughing so hard. Last one for me here is actually from my fiance for you. She asked Hickey what he does to make his hair do that flip thing.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
Stefen.
you.
I don't know. I just try to take good care of it, I guess. Got to be the right
oils.
length to do that. It's not a great day today. But tell her I have a few secrets, but I got to keep them close to the chest. But no, I just try to take good care of it.
I think that's fair. I got one last one for you, Thomas. It's a little more serious though. New CBA coming down the pike here for the NHL. We're going to see 84-game seasons. We're going to see dress codes being lifted a bit here. Some interesting change. Was there anything in that upcoming deal that maybe piqued your interest? Anything you thought about, said, hey, that's good, or hey, that sucks? Just what do you make of this new CBA coming down the pike?
Yeah, the 84 games. I think that's actually really big. I think it's great for hockey fans, players. You're as a player, I look at that and I'm like, I know it helps, create value and revenue for HR, which you do get a part of, but you're working more and getting paid the same amount essentially. I know the cap can go up, but guys that are locked into deals, we're doing more labor. So there's that side of it, but not saying that needs to be a bad thing from a player's perspective. But I think all the other stuff, those are the big headlines, and all the other stuff, I think we sort of will realize as time goes on. I haven't really dug into every detail and thought down the line of how that will affect the way business works in the NHL, or make trades more or player movement more or less likely to happen. I think those things are going to be determined. But I think just the fact that they got a deal in place, that's the biggest win. Since I've been, drafted into the NHL till now, this is the most peace and harmony between the PA and the league that we've ever seen. That we were talking, the deal was set to expire in 2 years, and everyone was like, we're going to get a deal done ahead of time. So it's really healthy. It shows that a lot of franchises are really healthy, that there's parity in the NHL, that you don't need to stink forever. You can work your way back up if you're smart and play things out correctly. So that was the biggest part of it for me, just a win to get it done well over a year out. And that harmony. It won't always be like that or stay like that, but I think it's just a really good thing to have right now.
Yeah, what a nice change from all the battles that you would have experienced back then, right? That's great stuff. But Thomas, cannot thank you enough for all your time tonight, man. Had a blast. Really appreciate you coming on, and hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and hope to have you on again soon.
Yeah, you got it, guys. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it.
All right, folks, that was the great Thomas Hickey, former New York Islander and MSG studio analyst, does a fantastic job for the New York Islanders. So that'll do it for On the Line, presented by Tovi Hockey. Stefen, why don't you tell us a little more about those guys?
Let me do that. Tovi Hockey, the innovative hockey technology company, is the creator of the 100% solid carbon fiber Diamond Air blade, the only other NHL-approved blade technology. With superior feel and increased swing speed due to its perfect design, unparalleled control thanks to the microgrip blade texture, greater durability courtesy of patented aerodynamic crossbeam construction, unparalleled shooting accuracy thanks to its large sweet spot, Tovi Hockey is changing the game by making the next-gen stick of tomorrow available today. Go to ToviHockey.com, check out their great selections of sticks, gear, and apparel, and use promo code HNINY10 for 10% off your order. Tovi Hockey, stronger, faster, superior.
Stronger, faster, superior. Will the Islanders be stronger, faster, and superior going forward in the Matthew Darch era? We're going to find out. But before that, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to What's on Tap. We'll be right back.
Islanders fans, Sunday night is hockey night in New York. Whether you were raised at the barn in Uniondale or born in the stable at Belmont, tune in to Hockey Night in New York. Catch us live from Floored Media in Rockville Center, Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, as we cover all things Islanders at twitch.tv/HockeyNightNY. All episodes are also available on YouTube and all your favorite podcast providers. And for all you social butterflies, you can follow at Hockey Night NY on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for all the latest updates. Hockey Night in New York, the best night of the week for any Islanders fan. Did you have a nice break? Well, it's time to get back on the couch for more Islanders therapy on Hockey Night in New York.
That's right, folks. It's time to kick up your feet. It's time for more New York Islanders therapy here at Hockey Night New York. It's time for What's on Tap, presented by Center Station Bar and Grill. And what's on tap, Stefen Rosner? The future. That's what's on tap. Big draft for the New York Islanders. 3 first-round picks, and everybody's raving about them. Obviously, we will start with Matthew Schaefer. We have Victor Eklund. We have Kashawn Aitcheson. And, of course, on down the line there. Let's start with Matthew Schaefer, the odds-on number 1 pick. I know there were some fans in Islander country that were hoping they went elsewhere. They did not. They stuck to the program that all the experts told us the Islanders should go with. Matthew Schaefer, dynamic, dynamite defenseman here. Looks like he's going to be an amazing player, an amazing person for this franchise. Let's hear it.
Let's talk about his game first.
Yeah.
Everyone notices the offense. I was talking to one prospect who said he skates like Quinn Hughes. And when you hear that from another prospect, you're thinking, okay, it's pretty good.
That works.
And he skates better than most of us walk. But I think people have to remember, too, is that he's a very good defensive defenseman first. Like Holmstrom gets called up. Defensive game allows him to get the minutes, and his offensive game flourishes.
Right.
Like this guy Schaefer, he wants to be known as a two-way defenseman, not a one-way offensive machine. And that's so important when you're drafting a legitimate franchise number 1 because, and this is not a knock on Noah Dobson, but it was clear as day, and he wasn't a number 1 pick either, but he was going to be an offensive defenseman. That was his game. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
But Schaefer is the two-way, a Quinn Hughes, again, not to maybe the same level as a Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, but that's his game. He's an all-around amazing hockey player. Mm-hmm. His skating is exceptional. His IQ is exceptional. I was talking to his assistant coach, Ken Peroff, in Erie, and said that when he was 16 years old, he was playing 28, 29 minutes. They had to tell him to stop going on the ice. He was done. But he's going out there late in games with, you need a block to win a game. Like, he wants to be that guy that could be relied upon in every moment. And the human, I met him for the first time at the Combine. And, me, Andrew Gross, Ethan Sears, we were just chilling in the area, and we saw him walk past. We're talking. He goes, hey, do you guys want to talk? He goes, I love talking. You guys want to talk? We sit on this table, and just the human. I'm not going to say he's the most mature 17-year-old I ever met. Easily could say he's the most mature.
You're the most
human.
mature 17-year-old I ever met.
Let's relax. He's the most mature human. The way he talks about life and his mom passing away, everybody knows, and his billet mom passing away, and the way he's handled it and the way he's given back. I mean, a lot of people can't handle that in their 30s, 40s, 50s when their parents get old. This kid is 17 years old and doing all this. He skipped his high school graduation to go talk to kids up in where the comment was in Buffalo, that kids that have lost family and friends. I mean, exceptional human being. You're talking about marketing. I mean, this kid, you're definitely number one overall pick, but a number one human being. And that goes such a long way with marketing and the new age of the Islanders. And it's going to be so special to cover his career.
Well, not even just with marketing, but just with the locker room cohesion, just with leadership, right? And it's funny because, I saw these interviews with him and I texted my buddy and I was like, I want to be like Matthew Schaefer when I grow up.
Yeah, no, that
like he's just such a down-to-earth, poised, mature kid at 17 years old. It's just mind-boggling, and like it's just, and you could understand why the combine won the Islanders over even more. Once they got to speak to this kid, because not only did he, you see all the clips, and he's just does amazing work on the ice, but just to get a glimpse of the type of person and kid this is coming into the organization. I mean, it just made it an absolute no-brainer. So when you have all of those assets from this guy coming onto the team, I mean, he's going to be a huge, huge part of this franchise.
And Hickey mentioned it, and I agree with Hickey as well, is that if they don't think all the fans are getting nervous, well, or they're saying he's not ready, which, again, nobody knows. I don't think the Islander, if he's 99%, but there's that 1% he's not ready, he's not making the team. However, just the raw talent we saw at development camp, I mean, he was miles ahead of some of these prospects. Now we have to see him against NHL players. Yeah. We said a couple years ago with Isaiah George, where Ryan Pulak told me, he goes, he might make this team. No one saw that. It pushes us to be better. I think he makes this team. I think he's that good. I think he's that ready. But again, just a world-class human being and a future captain. You could see it right now. You don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but also, too, is he is truly a day-by-day kind of just having fun. And I think the new age of Darch and the way he wants the players to play, like he's having fun off the ice and on the ice, but he's a heck of a hockey player that you're getting here. And I think, you talk about the combine, back in the day it was probably just, doesn't matter what you say in your answers. Like if you're a good hockey player, that's who we're taking. But now the kind of human you are matters so much more, especially with marketing, but just in the room, everything. You want to draft good people. And one thing that Lou didn't get enough credit for is he drafted former captains of junior teams. And maybe obviously he didn't have the number, the first round pick, second round pick. So you got to find those guys. But high character is such a big thing. But I think it's a big thing for every team. When you get the high character plus the skill, slam dunk move. We'll see if he's ready. But yeah, he was just an awesome human being.
Yeah. And as far as him making the team, look, the Islanders management just have to determine what's going to be the best path forward for him, for his development. Because I think most of us can sit here and say, nobody's expecting a Stanley Cup this year. Right. And you know what? It'd be great if they made the playoffs. We don't even know if that's going to happen. Let's be honest. But they don't have to force him onto the roster. This isn't a Tim Connolly, Josh Bailey situation where you might be rushing a guy before he's even ready for the NHL, right? I mean, and you can talk about whether he should go to the NCAA or whether he goes to juniors, fine. But they have to determine what the best path forward is for him and just go with whatever that is. Yep. And if that means if he's just absolutely lights out during camp and they give him 9 games and he's just can't miss, sure, keep him up. That's great. That's fine. If he belongs, he belongs. But if they take a step back and say, hey, he needs to put more meat on his bones, or there's just certain things about his game that he needs to develop, then figure out where he needs to go. And I know there's a timeline here. He can only go to NCAA by a certain time or what have you, right? They'll work all that out. But if he's not ready for the show, that's fine. He's a defenseman, and it's not often, even the best defensemen out there don't always go right to the NHL after being drafted high, in any given draft, right? Yes, we've seen it before. It has happened, but it doesn't mean his path needs to follow their path, right? And vice versa. If he's great, if he belongs, keep him, that's fine, but there's no pressure. And like I noted this on Twitter. You had EJ Radic and Rupp talking about it on NHL Network.
Right.
And Radic was basically saying the same thing. Like, I think they need to be cautious here. I think they just need to do whatever's best for his development. I agree. And hopefully whatever they choose ends up being the right answer.
Right. You can't mess this up.
Right?
You can't. If he messes up, that's obviously brutal. That's just there's no words. But
then the Darch train comes to a big halt real quick for the fans.
I think it's important that we talk about the other two guys they got.
Absolutely.
You have Eklund, the brother of William Eklund on San Jose, and you have Kashawn Aitcheson. In certain mock drafts, all three of these guys were top 10. I think 9 or 10 for Eklund and then Aitcheson. But let's talk about Eklund. He's going back to Sweden. His team, I can't pronounce it. I think it's Djurgården. That's how you pronounce it. But they won their league, so they move up. So now he's going to play in the Swedish league, the number one league there, probably with the guy that Chicago drafted. I'm blanking right now. Frundell. They're best friends. But this guy's skating, his edge work, I'm not going to say it's Barzal-esque. So someone else the Islanders drafted later, which we get to, that has the exact edge work as Barzal. He's so shifty, sneaky shot, so silky, and he gets hurt because he works so damn hard. That's what Darch told us right after the draft. And that's the kind of culture Darch is trying to set here. And then you have Kashawn Aitcheson, and the best way for me to describe him is that he's a North American Romanov. Vicious, but also he put up, I think, 26 goals this past year.
Goals.
He has to work on his skating. Yeah. No question about it. I think his skating was better than I thought, looking at development camp. He's got to work on that. I think he's going to end up going the college route. I'm not saying that in stone, but I think he's going to do the college route. But this guy learns how to time his hits and be able to recover from bad hits. My God, is he going to be a Brendan Witt style, Romanov style? He's another kind of guy, though, funny in the room, laughing, but he has explosive, legal hits. But you're talking about exactly the kind of mold Darch is trying to build here. Look at Kashawn Aitcheson, because that guy figures it out. And again, he's not going to be a top pairing or a middle. He's probably your bottom pairing guy, but he learns how to time his hits and recover. He's going to be scary.
Yeah, like we were saying before, it looks like Darch has a blueprint for players, right? High compete, high talent, and high character. And
Daniil Prokhorov, who I didn't mention yet, which we have to mention because he's probably the best player at the scrimmage. When you're that big and you have hands like he has, that pass to, was it Quinn Finley hit on the pass? Oh, Danny Nelson.
Whatever, I don't remember who it went to, Finley. But yeah, it was a sweet pass. Yeah.
But the guy is just an absolute unit that knows how to play a power forward game, but also is silky, can skate, hitting everybody, chatting with the fans. That guy makes it. He got drafted in the import draft. I believe he went in the 4th round. Politin, who they drafted this year as well, he went first in the import draft. He might stay in Russia. Who knows? He doesn't speak a word of English. But my God, another guy that could be I don't want to say steal because it's really hard to say that, but if he could just mature a little bit and keep his head up, I think that's the biggest thing, is he has his head down a little bit. Then again, if you're running into him, you're the one that's going to hurt the most. He's not going to fall on the ice when he gets crushed like that. You could look at another guy that could be a part of this group in a couple of years.
Yeah, he's a guy you'd be really excited about if he pans out, right? I mean, look, he went 42nd overall, and as we all know, the further down the draft list you go, the harder it is for these guys to break into the league, right? So hopefully he pans out, and he would be a hell of a lot of fun to watch. Huge body. I mean, even some of his highlight clips were a lot of fun to watch too, and he has offensive ability.
Right, yeah.
He's really good with the puck. So again, you watch some videos of him playing at the current level. You look at the scrimmage. He looks good. You don't know what these guys are going to do once they're put in the league, right? But exciting prospects. Let's go further down the line here.
Romano. He's got the best edge work I've seen, as close to Barzal as I've seen a prospect or player. The best skater at development camp. Again, smaller guy. He's got to figure things out, a later round pick, but skating in today's NHL, you can't have enough guys that could, because again, one thing is we talk about, well, a lot of these small guys like a Shabanov, well, let's see how they get hit and get up. You got to catch these guys first.
Right,
and these guys with edge, like Romano, again, I want to see him get up from a big hit against NHLers, and he's definitely a couple years away if he makes it, but his edge work was as close to Barzal as I've seen a prospect.
There you go. And then just going down the list, we don't have to spend much time on these guys. But yeah, you have Luca Romano, as you just talked about, Thomas Politin, Sam Larilla, Burke Hood, who apparently looks like a good goaltending prospect.
Funny enough, it was watching him, looking at him, going, what's so weird? You can't wear cat eyes in the juniors. So he has the cage where it's like
right?
all the bars. That. And for a goalie, if you know, the first time you put the cat eyes on, it's like, oh my God, I could see. But yeah, anyway, keep going.
And rounding out the draft picks, Jacob Kvasnica.
He played on... He was on the Team USA team. He's a good player as well.
Okay.
They had a very good draft. Now, drafts are really hard to gauge until the players actually play, but it was a very good draft for Darch. It helps when you have 3 first-round picks.
And it completely replenishes the prospect pool, and you talk about Schaefer, Eklund, and Aitcheson, and these guys are already in the top half, the top 5 of the Islanders prospect here. But let's talk about who they're being added to now. You have Richie, Yzerman, George looking to break through here, Nelson. All of a sudden they have this deep pool, and how are those guys coming along?
Yeah, I think Yzerman, he's going back to school. Freshman year, Pandolfo coming back is huge for him and Bednarik, we didn't talk about. Yzerman's shot is, it's hard to describe in words. It comes off the stick like something you've never seen. It's just different. I think Andrew Gross tweeted out, like, it's just different. The noise, obviously you don't want him hitting the glass, but just the noise, the noise is different. And I think I forgot who I was talking to about it, but not that he has the best release, but he just knows how to put the puck exactly. Like, his accuracy is unreal. And he scores big goals. And also, he's ferocious in just the personality. Like, Islander, it's not saying he's Brad Marchand or Matt Tkachuk, but he has that dog in him, I guess the kids would say. He just, in a playoff game, that kind of tenacity and the chirping and getting under people's skin, that's his game.
Is that what sets him apart from Oliver Wahlstrom? Because when he was drafted, there was a lot of immediate comparisons to him because of his shooting ability, because of the way he's able to pick his spots, right? Is that the one thing that sets him apart? Is there anything else? Or, I mean, what can give Islander fans hope that Cole Yzerman is going to pan out better than Oliver Wahlstrom when he seems to have a very similar skill set?
Much better skater.
Okay.
And he's much better away from the puck than Wahlstrom probably ever has been.
Okay. Those are good
Pandolfo
signs.
did an interview pretty soon after Yzerman joined the team at BU, and he said, yeah, like, his play away from the puck was much better than I thought it was going to be. And you watched him play that kind of style. Even in the scrimmage, he's crushing people, but he's crushing people at the right times. He's shooting the puck. So I don't think it's, it was very easy to compare him to Wahlstrom, and you have to see him pan out. But I think what Wahlstrom lacked, he has. Now it's just about, finding out his game and shoring things up. But if he could be that guy that's responsible and earn the trust of coaching staffs, top power play guy, top 6 guy, 30-plus goal scorer, it's going to be confidence and just getting off to a hot start. I don't think confidence is an issue with him, but especially you want to see him in year 2 at BU, his sophomore year, just truly take over games, which he did. He led the freshman class in goals. He's one of, I think, 5 20-goal scorers in the entire NCAA. Special kid. And then you have Quinn Finley, who had a really big year. He's going back to school. Danny Nelson is so physically mature. He's like Callum Ritchie. Callum Ritchie looked like a man against boys at development camp. Danny Nelson fits that part as well. Maybe a year away, he's going back to school. But yeah, this prospect pool, there should be excitement. It's not, it's hard for Islander fans to trust us, analysts, whatever, because we've said this before, and those guys don't pan out.
Right.
You mentioned it. When guys that do prospect analysis actually rank Islanders prospects high, which they never ever do, that should say something. Not saying they're always going to be right. It's probably the hardest thing, but there is talent here. That's going to be, in a couple of years, a lot of the guys you mentioned could be staples in this lineup.
It's on the players, of course, themselves and the Islanders to develop them.
Speaking of development.
Indeed, we're going to get to that momentarily. I did want to ask you real quick. We talked about the forward depth with Thomas Hickey. Is there a spot for Ritchie on the roster now?
Well, I was just going to say, if he wows you at camp and leaves you no choice, you got to think to yourself, I think Ritchie's a center. I think moving him to wing would be really, really stupid.
Okay.
However, you could be in a situation where you want someone to mentor him. You make Pajot the winger. Let Pajot take the face-offs, but let Callum Ritchie. Callum Ritchie is a possessor like Barzal. He needs to have players on his lines that he could facilitate too. That's why I think, to me, the Islanders having a good offseason meant that Palmieri was your third line right winger. I don't think we got to that point, but I think it was important to have a guy that, a finisher on his wing because he's a playmaker.
Okay.
That's his game. He can score goals for sure, but he's a playmaker, a smart player, really good skating up the ice. So maybe there's a situation now if he proves, hey, I'm good enough to make this team. I don't go back. I think 30 games under Rocky Thompson, Jeff Marek mentioned that as well. That's the best thing for him. But if he wows you, move Pajot to the wing.
Right.
You have Cizikas, you have guys, or you say you screw the Barzal to center thing and just have Ritchie be your number 3C, Pajot your number 2. Like Hickey said, you have so many options. I don't think it's smart to play Ritchie in the top 6. Let him play bottom 6, get acclimated. But if they're that confident in this kid and they think, he's better at center and let Barzal be back with Horvat and this is the best configuration, it's up to Ritchie really to prove it.
Camp is going to decide it.
Yep.
But looking ahead, since we're not there yet, I don't like Ritchie in the top 6 either, but he could prove me wrong, and that's fine. Go ahead, kid, do it, I don't like keeping Barzal on the wing. I would rather him move to center.
You're telling Hickey he's wrong? No, I'm kidding.
It's okay to disagree. I'm sure he's fine with it if he's still watching. But
no, I think Barzal should be a center, in my opinion.
I just think because of the depth. Now, again, maybe Ritchie actually, gives you the luxury of that. If he really is that good coming out of camp, sure, then you have other options. But if you're just looking at it now and you want to have a proper 1 through 4 centerman, I think you have to go Horvat, Barzal, and you can flip them, whatever.
Yeah.
Pajot, and then Cizikas, right? Agreed. I mean, for me, that's your centers, right? Pajot should still be playing center to me. He should be taking faceoffs. So you can still as the wing. But I do want to push back at you a little bit on Richie and saying that it would be foolish to not have him play center if he makes the team. A, I want to know why that is. B, I just want to kind of come back at you with that because there's plenty of centers that have come into this league and they've started on the wing. Brock Nelson started on the wing when he came to the Islanders, and he panned out pretty well. So I just want to know what your thinking is okay, if Richie's going to make the squad, he's got to stay at center.
I just think, again, same reason I think Barzal should never have gone to wing. I think when you have a guy that's so good at possessing the puck and skating up through the neutral, which, by the way, you could still do at the wing. It's just a little different. I just think he's so good at that, one, I don't want to move him to the wing where in a couple of years you want to move back to center and he hasn't played center at the NHL level. Like if he's developing at the NHL level at the wing and he gets really comfortable there, the last thing you want to do is move him back. The same thing his argument is with Barzal. He's proven to be a winger. I think when Richie is your number one prospect that's outside of Schaefer, and you got to, he's the number one prospect for a reason as a center. There are a lot of guys that you start at wing because of opportunity, or like Higgins, for example. He might only be good as a winger. They might develop him that way. And I just think with how good Richie is and how comfortable he is down the center of the ice, and if you're going to move on from Pajot at some point, which they could do at the deadline,
sure.
I just think going him to wing to then ask him to go back to center, he's that good at center. I wouldn't make him uncomfortable at all. I think that's his game. And if you don't think, he's ready to play center at the NHL level, don't say, well, he's not ready at center at the NHL level. Let's move him to wing. Let him develop in Bridgeport. Because I do think Pajot will get moved at some point, and you want him to be ready to go right into center. I just don't want him to not get complacent, but if you really believe he's a center, I wouldn't try him on the wing. But again, he might make it a point where you have no choice.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's okay to start him at the wing.
But again, too, players play opposite sides on defense, and they're fine. So it truly depends on the player. Because some players are more susceptible, like Barzal. He's like, I don't really want to move, but I'll do it. And he had a great year. For Richie, it could be like, I'm not comfortable playing the wing. It's a different read. It's a different feel.
That's another thing that adds to it as well. But I envision him, if he has a great camp. He's
not going to say no to playing in the NHL.
Well, that also, but also it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to learn from guys like Andersley and Pajot if they end up on your line, right? If he lines up on the right side and they kind of just move him over there eventually. I mean, look, it's all going to come down to Patrick Roy and the coaching staff anyway. But I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing in the world to have Richie play right wing or wing if he earns it, right?
If he's that good, you make room for him. But then also too, we didn't get to that point. Is you could still make trades. Like I'm not saying.
Yeah,
I think Darch said the other day, which we've all talked about as well. Like unless someone blows the Islanders away for Pajot, they're not moving him because someone's going to blow him away at the deadline.
Yeah.
However, if tomorrow someone offers him something you can't refuse, you make the trade, and then you have Richie, and there's a spot open. But that's an argument topic for another day.
Yes, and we got to keep this train rolling because we are eating up lots and lots of time. So that will do it for What's on Tap, presented by Center Station Bar and Grill. Catch great food and drinks, live events, all your favorite sporting events at 279A Sunrise Highway in Rockville Center, and the future is bright for the New York Islanders. So with that, we're going to take it to the Snake Den.
Welcome to the Snake Den with Jake the Snake Redonis.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the Snake Den with Jake, the man here, hopefully with an excellent take. Jake, how's your summer been, man?
My summer's been good. It's been busy, much like the Islanders.
Yeah, I've heard you've been doing some traveling.
Yeah, I went to Nashville. If you've never been to Nashville, definitely recommend it. I didn't see Barry Trotz down there, though, unfortunately.
That's a shame. Missed that guy.
He's busy trying to rebuild his team.
Exactly.
He's got a lot of work to do.
That he does. But yeah, good summer overall. Just enjoying every minute of it.
Excellent.
Right, hurry up. No, I'm kidding.
So what do you got for us here tonight?
Yeah, well, on the topic of building this team back up, I think you mentioned in our opening here about just a breath of fresh air within this organization. And with Matthew Darche coming in and making all these moves he's done and the prospect pool, one of the biggest things I think that Islander fans, we've all been worried about over the past few years is Bridgeport. Bridgeport has been a disaster for a while.
That's true.
It's been well needed to have something happen there. Also, this might be their last season playing there. We don't know yet.
That's the word.
There's some rumblings maybe of them going to Hamilton. I believe the company that built UBS is building the one in Hamilton.
Correct, yep.
So there might be a little tie-in there.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so if it is their last year, at least they did something to build up the team there. They brought in young talent. They brought back vets like Chris Terry. They brought him back. They signed college free agents. So they basically just made this depth pool there that if there's injuries on the NHL team, they have people that they can rely on and call up who can come and play for them, but also they can have a competitive team down in Bridgeport.
That's important.
Where your prospects aren't losing, and I don't even know what their record was last year.
They had 4 home wins.
That's what everybody remembers. Only 4 wins at home.
It was really bad. I mean, they're also doing some cool stuff this year. Saturdays are Sound Tiger Saturdays.
Yes, love that.
So they're going to have new jerseys. The Sound Tiger logo will be back, which I really hate that they switched from the Sound Tigers in the first place.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, so it'll be nice to have that.
That was a Lou thing.
Yeah. If this is the last year, that's nice they have that. They hired a new coach.
They did.
So they did just completely wipe out that coaching staff there. You got Rocky Thompson coming in.
Right.
Appointed 2 new assistants. And, just feel like there's just a shift in focus down there on just developing prospects and giving them a place to play outside of juniors or college. And it feels like maybe there's some hope down there.
Yeah.
That'll maybe transpire to the bigs too.
Well, Darch did say in his introductory presser,
question.
he good for you.
Thank you.
Way to go. He did say he wanted to build up the Bridgeport team, and they need to. We've said this multiple times now, how that's very important, just because of how dreadful they've been. And if they want a winning culture throughout the franchise, it can't just be at the top. It's got to be all the way throughout, right? And look, if the rumors are true about moving up to Hamilton, this is the year to get to the arena at Harbor Yard or whatever the hell it's called these days. But I got to get over to the bridge before it's done. Before it's over.
Total Mortgage Arena.
I've never been either.
No?
No.
Oh, you got to get over there.
We got to do a road trip.
There we go.
I went a long time ago, and Matt Donovan. Remember Matt Donovan?
I
He
do.
broke his stick left, right, and center, and he broke it like 3 times in that game. That's all I remember. But Darch played in, and it's not even Bridgeport too. And you made a great point. ECHL matters to Darch too. He played in ECHL. He played in Windsor, and I think when they were an ECHL team or something like that. But he values making sure that the NHL team, the AHL team, and the ECHL team are all in sync. Rocky Thompson, his press conference with us when he got introduced blew me out of the water. He has a plan.
Is that right?
This is what he's going to do. He goes, I'm not going to, run and tell these guys the stats. I want to know how their weekend was. I want to get to know these guys and their families. But also, they're going to work their ass off. We're not going to be punching. He said, we're not going to be punching bags anymore. Like there is a ferocious mindset of whatever you think about Bridgeport, get ready for a new age of the way we're going to play. Because again, losing is going to happen. The way they were losing was flat out unacceptable for just a hockey team in general. Right. But also, if you're going to the rink thinking you're going to lose, you're going to lose. And how do you develop prospects that way? How many prospects, like you do 4, just completely lost confidence, or Maggio just lost confidence because you're going out there and getting killed every game. So Rocky Thompson hiring, he knows Bob Bogner as well. So for a long time. So I think this is the most, I think not a perfect hire, but exactly the way Wah wants to play is how Rocky wants to play. And I think he understands what it's going to take to get these guys at least to that next level. Because forget this year. I develop for the college guys to come in if they're not ready too. You're setting a foundation in Bridgeport. I think Rocky Thompson was a slam dunk hiring.
Well, it's great to hear he can talk the talk. Now we got to find out if the Bridgeport Sound Tigers / Islanders can walk the walk. Jake, is that all you got for us?
I mean, yeah. They had some cool signings. I guess I forgot to mention this before. They signed Ethan Bear, who's actually
that's right.
Matt Barzal's best friend. I think he was best man at his wedding too.
Barzal was best man at Ethan Bear.
Okay. Didn't know that.
They played together in the WHL. I believe they won a championship together there. So I mean, it's cool to have some familiarity with players on the team already.
All right.
Ethan Bear also spent time in the Players Assistance Program, and he's been on a couple of teams. He's finally feeling really good about himself. So also too, Bear is probably your number one call up if a right side defenseman gets hurt. And I think having Barzal, they're such close friends. It's gonna be really cool for Ethan and Matt.
All right. Well, great stuff, Jake. As always, glad the summer's going well. Hope you have some more fun trips coming up. But that's gonna do it for the Snake Den. And now we go to Questions Brewing.
It's time for Questions Brewing. So go ahead.
Ask us a question.
Ah, yes. Questions Brewing. We are back. That means Edzo is back. Buddy, how you been, buddy?
I've been great.
I've been
great.
That's it?
I've been great.
Okay. Anything special to report? Summer?
No. Work, summer, beach.
Okay. Beach. Okay.
Work and play.
Yeah.
All right.
I wish I could say, it felt like only yesterday that we did this show, but man, it's felt like forever.
It's been a while.
It's felt like forever.
It's been a few months.
A lot has happened.
Yes. We went into hibernation, but we're back, and I hope the audience is back. Do you have questions for us?
We got some curious Georges here.
Love that.
That's for sure.
Let's be Mr. Hat and answer those questions.
All right, we're going to start it off with Hockey Herd. Looks like a Utah Mammoth fan in chat.
Okay.
It says, hey, Sean, what do you expect from Horvat and Barzal given that the plan is to split them up? how big of an impact will that have on their numbers?
I think a reason why Hickey wants to keep Barzal on the wing is to keep him with Horvat so that their numbers stay high, right? And there's definitely some merit to that. And look, hopefully we got a healthy Barzal this year. That's going to help. And I think it's really going to come down to chemistry with these wingers, right? The vision seems to be Drouin lining up next to Horvat, and the vision there is that he's going to be feeding Horvat the pucks to finish, right? Because he's a scorer. And we have to see who can kind of step up next to Barzal as far as his line mates go. We already know very well his talents and his puck possession capabilities and that he can set guys up. Is he going to have the guys to finish? Who's going to be on flanking him, right? Is it going to be Anthony Duclair? Is he ready to embrace a top six role? We know what happened with him last year. Is he going to kind of rediscover his game this year with another chance, under Patrick Waugh and potentially next to Barzal? We don't know if that's going to happen, but he's the first guy I think of when you put next to Barzal. Then you have Holmstrom talking about him being a top six guy now. This could be a breakout year for him. If a guy like Holmstrom can find chemistry with Barzal, then all of a sudden, you might have some big things coming out of a line like that, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of promise out of Holmstrom leading into this, and, we'll see if this is another step for him. He gets his contract. It's a prove-it contract, so he's going to be motivated. Not that you need you should need the money to motivate you here. But I mean, like Hickey said, he can really cash in if he grows. So, you look at a line potentially like that, and I kind of like it. I like the potential, and we can see what they can do. Listen, if Richie was ready, and if he could take that second line spot, then, maybe you look back at Horvat and Barzal, and then you see what they've done, when they're both healthy playing together, and they were excellent together. So there's a good reason to want to keep that together. But I think until we find out what Richie is, I think it's best to split them up. And hopefully with this depth we've been talking about is enough where you have guys that can play up into that top six role in the wings and hopefully help them both produce separate of each other.
I'll just chime in here too. I think the one other important part about Barzal going back to something that we really haven't talked about is other teams matching up. Barzal and Horvat on the same line. Your number one defense pairing is playing that line.
Right.
You separate now and you have two top lines or whatever it is. Now the other team has to think a little more of who they're guarding. So I think that's a big point that we really haven't talked about, which we could dive in another time. But I think the matchup nightmare is kind of the whole point of why you separate those two.
Great point.
Thank you.
Next up from Mr. Tom Boyle. He says, congratulations, Steph. My question is, if the injuries continue with Barzal, do you see Darche moving on from him?
T-Boyle, thank you. By the way, first off, thank you.
That's a signature T-Boyle question.
T-Boyle.
All these changes.
T-Boyle, Lou goes away, and T-Boyle's got to find a new person to... But what I will say is about the drama, especially the rumors with Barzal and Utah for Higgins. Yeah. Barzal's a 22-team no-trade clause. So if you're moving him, like the Dobson... Even Dobson had no trade, whatever. Yeah. He's dictated where he was going. Right. Talk about Barzal as, if he's injured, one, you're not going to trade him when his value is low. Mm-hmm. That makes no sense. If Darch realizes, because this is all about, we talked about it pre-game, pre-show, that, a lot of these contracts are evaluating this group. You're giving time for Darch to evaluate. Yeah, if he feels that, listen, Barzal is a great player, but doesn't really fit what we're trying to do, sure, you move him. But it's not like if he's hurt, you're not going to move him for nothing. That kind of defeats the purpose. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Barzal, if healthy, is going to have a great year.
Agreed.
Charlie O'Hagan asks, do we have an organizational opinion or for expectations for Maxim Shabanov, Patrick Darche overall feel? We need Holmstrom, Siplikov, and Duran to score extremely well.
Yeah, so Shabanov, like Siplikov, he's signing for an opportunity, right? And I think Patrick Waugh, one thing he mentioned that, again, gets lost a little bit, is that he loved the way Shabanov played in his defensive zone. And not saying this is a knock on Siplikov, but one thing that Siplikov lacked a lot was just his decisions with the puck and things like that, which I think, not that it impacted the entire stress level Waugh had, but it certainly hurt him. And for a guy like Shabanov, if he comes in here, could make the crazy plays he makes offensively, the highlight reel plays, but also really sound defensively to earn the trust, I think that the belief is that he could be a really strong bottom six player. But also, if he proves and earns more minutes, he's just going to quickly become a top six guy, and depending on other players' play. But I think overall, the mindset with Shabanov is, like Siplikov, he's going to have to adjust. He's a smaller guy. see how he feels and plays. But if he plays really well out of the gate, like Sipakov, he's going to get every opportunity to play a top 6 role. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, imagine if his talent really does translate. And you talk about who's going to play with Barzal and play well. Maybe you see some magic between those two guys. I mean, look, that's setting the bar high and being hopeful, but why not? We haven't gotten there yet.
To get to the actual question, because you asked I don't think there are expectations. You're signing to a 1-year ELC where it's a low-risk, low-reward move.
Right.
But they're hoping that he's going to be a huge part of this. Also, he's not signing here if he doesn't think he's going to be a huge part of this.
For sure.
Christopher Michael asks, what is to become of Varley this year?
So funny, when Varley came to talk to us at the end of the year media, which we haven't talked to him since November, we were expecting him to retire. Like we thought he was going to say, this is it. You know, it's hard when you're 37 years old coming back from a lower body knee injury, whatever it was. Yeah. And he said, no, I feel good. I'm ready to go. And I asked Darch, we did a one-on-one on the phone on his way to pick up the guys from the airport after the draft. And I asked him, do you expect him to be ready? He goes, it's going, like rehab's going well. There's been no setbacks, nothing like that. I think there's the expectation. Yeah. However, when we spoke to Patrick Waugh, Waugh said, we asked him about the Rittich signing. He goes, listen, Varley's doing well, but you never know with a 37-year-old goalie. So Rittich was clearly an insurance policy. Hogberg kind of dropped the ball or puck, whatever, with how he finished the year. Not maybe the injury played a part, but yeah, I think the expectation that Varley's going to play a part this year, maybe it's not right away. Maybe it's not to this, maybe he's going to play 25% and Sorokin's going to play 75%, but I don't know if he's starting the year on LTIR would help with the accruing cap space if he's not on LTIR. But I'm expecting him at some point this year to be the backup to Ilya.
Yeah, look, you hope for the best there. It'd be great if he came back. He's a very capable 1B for this team and a guy that can certainly spell Ilya Sorokin when needed. But I think it was very smart of Darche to go out and get somebody else and bring in Rittich.
1 year, $1 million, and Rittich is, a stable guy.
There
Smart
you go.
Move.
Next up from Cheesecake Pie. That sounds amazing. 2 questions, please. Any word on the hearing coming up and if a deal is near? Also concerned that 48 should be sent back for 1 more year to let him get better since the Isles will not win the cup yet.
So we assume, of course, he's talking
salary
about
arbitration.
Sipakov.
That's scheduled for today was supposed to be the first day, and I think it goes through August 3rd, 4th, or 5th. And usually that's public. I think there's only 7 people that have filed for arbitration, so I don't know if they made it public. Should have an answer by the end of the week. Now, I believe the original ask was 3, and I'm working on a piece. I'm going to try to get more information after the show to figure it out, but I'm pretty sure the original ask from Sipakov's camp was 3.
Okay.
But obviously you ask for a high number and you work your way down. So I think right now they're negotiating. Both sides want to get a deal done. He is an RFA. He loves being here. You saw the Islanders promote him on social media, having his newborn.
Right.
Not that that's a sign that things are getting done, but obviously
it's a sign that things aren't bad.
Right. Sipakov's sending a picture of his kid. There's
Right.
I think it'll get settled before salary arbitrations get really, it could ruin relationships, even if you get the deal. I think it's about playing time. Sipakov was a guy that signed last year where top 6 was wide open. Now it's, fourth line
a lot
is
of competition.
Right. So I think a deal will get done. I think it'll come in under 3. I'm working on more information, and when I have that, I'll let you guys know.
There you go.
MJ Beckman asks, has Waugh talked to Duclair yet, and shouldn't he have cleared the air with him before the start of development camp? 3 months is a long time to have left that comment hanging.
I can tell you as of this day, if they've talked, when we spoke at development camp, he hadn't yet. He wanted to do it in person. Now he did air it out there, so obviously Duclair is going to see that.
Sure.
They have a relationship already, so I'm not going to pretend to know what their extent is. And Waugh apologized. I'm not saying he should have apologized for what he said, but obviously there were better ways to probably go about it with a guy that you cared a lot about and you brought in. So no idea if he talked. I believe, and Darch has made it clear that the belief is that he'll be at camp. So as of right now, I think he'll be at camp unless something else changes. But Duclair is a professional. I think if he's healthy, that'll help him get his mindset right where he could actually ski it and feel good about what's going on. And I think when Waugh gets the opportunity to apologize, I think they'll be able to bury it and move on. But yeah, I think it's right now, let's wait and see. But I think Duclair will be at camp.
Okay.
The Wheel 89, he asks, does anyone have any clue what an Olympic send-off actually means? A game, skill competition, player talent show?
Nobody knows.
Player talent show.
Unless you heard something. I am fascinated by this. I am very curious to find out just what the hell this thing is going to be. They've made it clear that there will not be any sort of competition.
Right, non-hockey.
There's not going to be hockey. Maybe they don't want to risk players getting hurt.
100%.
Whatever the case may be. But I'm really curious what this thing is going to be and what the Isle sales team has been selling the potential season ticket members on. Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious because I don't know. Like all I'm picturing is like the like a smaller, dumbed down version of like the opening ceremonies where they're walking around drink with the flags or something like that. Like, what else is it going to be? I don't know.
We asked, someone asked at the draft, Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly, about what it was going to be, or someone asked Bettman, and they didn't give us any information. Right. Now, I'm assuming they know what they're going to do. And I'm assuming they know that there's probably going to be backlash for whatever they do. But at this moment in time, all we know is it's going to be a non-hockey event. So I have no idea.
I would say this. The fact that they're still giving the Islanders the All-Star game the following year kind of lets us know that they know
it's not going to be
this
what Islander
isn't going to be
want.
enough. Yeah, right. It's not going to be enough. Whatever the
first
hell
overall
it is.
pick wasn't enough, and
right,
I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding. Yeah, we don't know yet. I don't know if we'll know until maybe a week.
Stay
before.
tuned.
Yes.
Next up from Wicked 50 Cal. He says, I know this is tough to currently project, but where do you see the Islanders finish in the standings?
I think they're a wild card team again. I look at the division. Carolina always finds a way to be good in the regular season. They get Ehlers, a full year of Logan Stankoven. I love that guy. Maybe it's because we're small, and I appreciate those kinds of players. They're going to be good. I don't think the Capitals are going to be as good, but they didn't really lose that many people, and if their goaltending could stay up, I think it's going to be good. Jack Hughes is healthy. The Devils are going to be good. In the playoffs, I don't think they're a good playoff team. So I think those are your top three. I'd probably go Carolina, Washington, New Jersey. And then I think it's between Islanders, Rangers, and Columbus fighting for those wild card spots, or maybe one of those wild card spots. You got to look at the Atlantic as well.
Yeah,
it seems like that.
Ottawa,
but,
Detroit.
I think the Flyers and Pittsburgh are at the bottom.
Correct,
But I think the Islanders could fight for one of those wild cards. I just think you're going to see a more consistent, I don't think it's going to be, oh my God, are they going to make it? Oh my God, are they not? Are they going to have to win 20 of the last 30 to make it? I think the Islanders are going to be a consistent team from start to finish, and they'll consistently be in that point range that has them finishing as a wild card team.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to commit them to a wild card spot. I think that healthy and on paper,
knock on wood for the health
they're
part,
fully capable of snatching a wild card spot. But we got to see how the chemistry is with these new guys coming in, how they work out, the new coaching staff, the special teams. Once again, the health. There's a lot of ifs, but if those ifs go positively, yeah, I think they could sneak in. I don't think that they're a threat to go much further than a first round. It'd be great if they did. But I think that's kind of where they're at. And I think quietly the Islanders are okay with that because they have a plan looking forward. And I'm okay with it because, as you said, as has been said on this show, there's a vision. And if it takes 2-3 years to get there, I don't have a problem with that. If they get success this year, whatever you consider that to be, I think that's great. I wouldn't be upset if they didn't make the playoffs.
Right. I just don't think it's going to be. I think it's the Islanders. It's always going to be a roller coaster. But is it going to be?
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be kill money. It's going to be fun. I don't think it's going to be as high and as low. I think this team will be just a more whatever they are going to be. They're going to be consistent.
I'm excited to find out what the hell that is.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That kind of segues into this. Isle72 asks, do you think for the long term the Isles would be better off having another down year?
Well, listen, if they land Gavin McKenna and they landed Schaefer last year, then yeah. But I we've talked about it so many times. Yeah. If your players are developing at both levels and you miss the playoffs and you reap the benefits of getting a high first-round pick, then yeah. And if Darch has a plan of taking a step back and trying to be competitive, but if you're not, who cares? I don't think it's the who cares, but I think he's not going to go and buy all these players at the deadline. If they're not good enough, he's going to sell off, and he's doing it the right way. But I think you just got to see because you don't. The other thing you don't want to get lost in is you're wasting a year of Barzal and wasting a year of Horvat and Sorokin because you're not those guys aren't getting any younger, and you don't want to poo-poo their careers because your future looks bright. So I think I don't think anyone wants to see a down year. If it happens, again, you reap the benefits, sure, but these guys care a lot. Barzal and Horvat didn't sign long-term deals, or Sorokin, to be they want to win. The team wants to win.
Yeah, and I take what Darch said at face value in his presser, that he wants this team to compete while they build for the future. And I think the contracts that he has signed speaks volumes to that plan exactly, where he has the immediate in mind, and we can consider next season, the season after, as the immediate, and that he is going to have a bucket load of cap space because of those short-term deals, right? Maybe they re-sign D'Angelo for another one if they what happens this year, right? But he's out of the picture if they need him to be. Schaefer's going to be on the team next year if he's not this year, right? And then they have some other prospects knocking on the door. They're going to have those guys in on ELCs, small contracts, and then you're going to have Pajot off the books. You're going to have Lee off the books after this year if they don't bring Lee back potentially. Maybe. I don't think they will with Pajot. But the bottom line is cap's already going up. They're finally going to cut loose some of these more expensive contracts that they've had, lasting over all of these years, right? And I think they're going to have a mix of vets. They have Palmieri there for an additional year. And again, only 2 for him.
Exactly.
Like,
so smart.
So much flexibility where if Darch, becomes a great negotiator in the offseason, right? And he can actually sway some free agents to come to this team, then all of a sudden he can really build on the fly and potentially land some bigger names, even if it's not the name at the top of the list when the free agents come out, or swing some trades because he's got a lot more assets to deal with too, whether it's the guys he's picked already or 2 first-round picks next year. They have that extra one from Colorado. So he's giving himself a ton of flexibility to make this team competitive in a very short amount of time. It's just a matter of the execution.
And you mentioned it too with the contracts. Even the longer-term deals like the Horvat, Barzal, Sorokin, more so Barzal and Sorokin, those are big-time deals at the time, setting their markets or whatever.
Yeah.
Now they're much more manageable. And also, players that have no trade clauses turn into modified, which now allows you to do even more damage in creating cap space. So I think the short-term sighting with the way you wanted to go about it, I think was not pure genius. It's kind of what he had to do, given the state of this team. But yeah, I think they're going to try to win. And if they can't, Darch will do what he has to do to make sure the future's bright.
For sure, and I think we got to cut questions brewing now. We're going late into the evening here, so if we didn't get to your questions, we apologize. I know there's plenty of topics for the Islanders that we probably didn't get to. Maybe we'll have a future show down the road before training camp comes, or who knows, maybe we'll do some kind of special edition between now and then. But either way, that'll do it for questions brewing. Now, Stefan, I know you had something you want to talk about.
Yeah, so guys, just if you can, I know asking for money, it's tough these days, but donation-wise, Bobby Marcel is an Islanders employee who's going through the biggest battle of his life right now. I think he's in palliative care now with cancer, which obviously is not amazing. And his family's trying to raise money for him, his wife, and his kids. So we'll post a link for it. But if you guys can have some extra, dollars or two, I know Anders Lee. I mean, it's public on there, so obviously I would never share what someone gave. But I mean, Anders Lee donated $10,000 to this. So, and I think Anders Lee's post was like he's a part of our family. So if you guys have known Bobby, you got to meet him, whatever, great human being. So if you do have some money, spare change, thing like that, it would mean the world. So we'll post a link. But I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been making the rounds, and people have been very generous, which has been great. So if you can contribute, if you haven't already, that would be outstanding. Just some more housekeeping here at Hockey Night New York. We don't have another show scheduled yet. We're going to figure that out. We're going to see how the summer goes here. We're going to find out. But for the future, for our beloved Twitch family, it looks like we are going to consolidate and move Twitch over exclusively to YouTube. That is going to be our main format going forward. So if you have been following us and joining us in the chat on Twitch, we're going to ask you, if you don't already, maybe start a username over there, subscribe to us over there, and we're going to make that our main source of broadcasting the show going forward. So get on over there so you can join the chat. We're going to keep all the live chat stuff going, but YouTube is going to be the spot going forward, probably after tonight. We still have some kinks to work out, but that's probably where we're going to go there. So that'll do it for that. And
one more housekeeping thing. Matt Martin's hockey camp is coming. It's August 18th that week. It is so much fun. I coach it every year. Matt Martin comes down, skates with the kids, signs autograph. A lot of the teams, players on the team come down as well. So just Google Matt Martin Foundation, Matt Martin Hockey Academy. Sign up there. It's a ton of fun.
There you go. And you're going to be involved. That's great.
Yeah, it's so much fun coaching. And these kids, they're in awe, seeing Matt. And now Matt being in the role that he's in now, he's going to be around for more fans.
Right.
And these aren't kids.
He can scout.
He can, yes. The 20, 35, 40 first-round picks. They're going to be there.
There you go. And before we close, we got 2 things. First, I got to tell you guys about our friends at Isles Fix, Islanders Country. Get your daily fix of Isles news, highlights, and analysis by subscribing to Isles Fix, the Monday through Friday Islanders newsletter sent directly to your inbox. Sign up for free or become a paid subscriber for added benefits at ilesfix.substack.com. And of course, now, before we close, I'm going to tell you about our wonderful sponsors. Once again, big thanks to Main Street Board Game Cafe at 307 Main Street in Huntington Village. Find out how to unplug your game at mainstboardgamecafe.com. Huge thanks to Center Station Bar and Grill. Head on down to 279A Sunrise Highway for Isles games, live music, karaoke, comedy shows, and more. A big thanks to Razor and Kniff, attorneys at law. Nobody likes going to court, but if you have to, call 212-LAW, 1500 for a free consultation. Last but not least, a big thanks to Tovi Hockey, creators of the Diamond Air Blade. Go to tovihockey.com to check out their great products and use promo code HNINY10 for 10% off. And of course, a huge thanks to Thomas Hickey for joining us tonight. He was awesome. Hope you enjoyed his segment here. He was outstanding. That was a lot of fun. And before we sign off here and ask you to rate, review, and subscribe, Stefan, where can we find you?
on X at Stefen_Rosner, STEFEN_ROSNER, theelmonters.com, Monday through Friday newsletter, NHL.com, the hockey news, and then the Blue Sky thing.
The Blue Sky thing. Jake Radonis, you still floating around social media?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Jake Radonis, JakeRadonis.
You can follow me on Twitter at Sean and Hockey. You can follow the show at Hockey Night NY on all your favorite social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and everywhere else. And now, with all of that out of the way, if you haven't seen this already, we leave you with a special presentation from Hockey Night New York. Enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy your summer, and we will see you next time.
On the island through the highs and the heartbreak toll, where banners hang high and the passion takes hold. They're chill in the chair with the backdrop lit, talking Isles with a grin and that hometown wit. From Nassau nights to UBS lights, they're riding the waves of them blue and orange fights. It's hockey night in New York and the puck drops loud. Sean's calling the shots, standing tall and proud. With his note cards flying in the hot takes tide, we're chasing the cup under Long Island lights. Yeah, it's Mike's Taste and Islander Nights. Right by his side is Stefen, sharp and true. He'll analyze plays with a clear-cut view. They break it all down, the trades and the heat, with chemistry tighter than a playoff sweep. From Bossy's fire to bars all speed, they bleed blue and orange, yeah, that's all they need. It's hockey night in New York and the barn's alive. They're talking Sorokin in line 1 and line 5, with a hat pulled low and the takes burning bright. Sean and Steph bring the fire every night. Yeah, it's laughs, goals, and Islander pride. Now Edzo's got questions sharp as a blade, digging deep into stories, the goals and the saves. And down in the snake den, Jake's on the mic, taking shots with a jab, spitting takes with a bite. So whether you're up in Queens or down in Patchogue, tune in to the show through the heat and the fog. This ain't just a game, it's a way to connect, and no one calls it better than Sean and Stefen direct. It's hockey night in New York where the legends grow.